Hey, good morning, everyone. It's the world from here on Friday, on June 25th. I can't believe it's already the end of June, but I'm excited to be here today. I'm Dan Gay, Chief Marketing Officer of BlockCerts Blockchain, and excited to be here with you today. Tim Vasko, the Chief Executive Officer and Founder and Chief Architect of BlockCerts Blockchain. Good morning to you, Tim.
Morning, Dan. Morning, evening to everybody. It's Friday. Looking forward to the weekend. This week flew by again.
It flies by when you work almost 24 hours. I've seen kind of days you've been putting in, Tim. So
yeah, exactly.
pretty exciting with this wallet, though. This week we're missing Daniel Nancy, who is doing some things summer camp with his kids. So hopefully you're having fun there, Daniele, and watch this afterwards. But today we're talking about the BCERTin wallet. We talked about it the last couple of weeks, and we're getting ready to launch that, and people will start. We'll talk about that at the end when you'll start receiving your emails to download the wallet. So with that, Tim, I call the wallet the gateway to protect what's important to you, both business and personally. There are a lot of unique things about the wallet, and I've also heard you talk about it as what it's doing for blockchain and business is like what the iPod did for music and the smartphone did for business and personal life. Can you share just a little bit more about that and kind of your vision of where it is and where it's going?
Yeah, especially this week, Dan. I've been watching what's going on in the markets, and JP Morgan yesterday announced a big warning for Bitcoin and things like that. And it always brings me back to the statement Warren Buffett made: be fearful when people are greedy, be greedy when people are fearful. And it reminds me of the .com bust and what came out of that. And I don't think we're anywhere near a bust. I think we're in an incredibly, as we talked about last week, robust market economy with tons and tons of money flowing into the market. I think all this speculation stuff, very much like in the days of .com, are driving this market up. And when we start thinking about it, if you could put yourself back there, you were there, I was there.
I was there, yeah.
And if you could go forward 20 years, that was 2000, and you go forward 20 years, A, you wouldn't have predicted a global pandemic, and B, you sure would have bought Amazon and Apple, right?
Sure. And many others that were
many others like Google, and they were all around in the time. So but people were buying things like pets.com and the Bitcoin of the day back then, instead of looking at the fundamental shift that was actually there and who had the strength and technology to take this version of what was Web 1.0. Really, it was Web 1.0, and take that forward. Again, we experienced that about half a dozen years later I love when I think it wasn't even dozen years later. It was a year later, in October 23rd, 2001, I believe, when Steve Jobs came out with that very first iPod. And he said, I have 1,000 phones in my pocket, or 1,000 songs in my pocket. Now think about that time.
Revolutionary at the time.
Yeah, amazing. Well, think about that time. It was, wow, that's amazing. You've got this. I think I actually have one of these. I should have had it down here for a prop, but you got this thing that was like little tiny. It was sitting there. It's got music on it. And it was October 23rd, 2001.
Right.
Let's go back to the statement. Be fearful when people are greedy. Be greedy when people are fearful. That was a very fearful time. It was a month after 9/11. The world was in an uproar. Nobody knew what was happening. It was crazy. And here we are launching a product that literally changed lives. literally changed the future. It really did impact and change the future. So when I look at what we're doing now, that was Web 1.0. We're at Web 3.0 that we're launching here. I get excited because having lived through these cycles and watched and been part of that, been part of the launch of Google AdWords and watching when nobody really knew if that company was going to make it. Nobody knew if Amazon was going to make it. You know, Apple, 1997, was teetering on the edge of bankruptcy before Microsoft stepped in and bailed them out just to have a competitor in the market. You know, so when you think about it, you think about these fluctuations in the market. That's where opportunity presents itself. That's where reality starts to shape up. And the vast majority are going to go after what those trends look like and what's very visible. And the challenge that we have is, you know, what's invisible. So am I excited? Yeah, I'm super excited because we know we're in control. We know we're handing control over to people. We know that that's not going to change. People are going to demand more control over their cloud. They're going to demand more control over their digital identity and their lives.
Right. And one of the things I was going to say to what you're talking about, Tim, is, you know, if you just follow the headlines, sometimes you'll be led astray. Many times, just
you
like
think?
in the .com. Yeah, just
or the tweets, or the tweets,
or the tweets. Yeah. Just you know, whether it's Dogecoin or whatever. But you know, look back to that time. There were so many new businesses that were starting, and I was at MCI, and we had Vint Cerf, who was one of the founders of TCP and a lot of the internet protocols, and we were going out talking with clients about what the internet could do, and there were real business applications that were being built there. But if you read the headlines at that point in time, you know, internet is bust and everything's, you know, terrible, etc. So you know, a lot of similarities to today, like what you had talked about with the World Trade Center, as well as what has happened with the pandemic. So
well, yeah, and if you even look back and you look at what Jamie Dimon was saying in, you know, 2015 or 2017,
right,
3 years ago. Oh, you know, it's the tulip bubble. And now all of a sudden you've got JP Morgan building applications, running the blockchain, and they're and they put out a warning on Bitcoin. Well, the question you always have to ask about these centralized authorities who are trying to kind of encircle a decentralized market is, are they fading the market? Because they were before.
Exactly.
They were before.
Jamie sure did that 3 years ago.
Jamie was sure buying a bunch of stuff for whatever back then, and here he is. You know, you know, it's crazy. So you kind of have to be reading between the lines and looking beyond, you know, that tweet or that blip, and wonder, well, what's fundamental here? That's what I did in 2013. That's the reason I got into blockchain in the first place. I looked at Bitcoin and I'm like, that's fundamental. And granted, I mean, it's 2013. Let's face it, that's not a quick overnight success. You're looking at something and saying, I think in half a decade, you know, where are we, 7 years, 8 years later, it's actually applicable. Like, you have to get out of your head a little bit and go, what's the world from here going to look like? Right? And if there's ever been a time to do that, it's right now. That's why we started the world from here. It's like, this isn't about like, what's the world today? It's what's the world from here, right?
Right. Well, even comparing it to the internet, you know, the internet, people think of it as starting in 2000, but, you know, the reality was it was more like 1965 that started, and then ARPANET, and then, you know, all the applications for government, and it wasn't really, it 1994 didn't come onto the world stage.
1994, the web browser came out, right?
Right.
And people asked Netscape, how are you going to make any money giving it away for free? And you know,
I guess they figured
CEO of Netscapes and who was it? Steve Case, AOL. You know, you got mail. He said, we'll figure it out. Boy, did they.
Yeah.
Boy, did they.
So bring on users, and there's a way to
so if you don't
monetize.
understand the business models behind things right away, there are business models. There are really, really amazing business models that shift, and that's what makes companies. You know,
absolutely.
What was giving away an app? Giving free app downloads. Oh, or 99 cents a song? Really? Yeah, you're going to make money at that? Well, we'll figure it out.
Yeah, they figured that one out.
They figured it out.
So, Tim, I just want to point out to everyone, if you could give us a thumbs up, that would be awesome. If you haven't joined us, please click on the subscribe button. And then also, if you have a question about the wallet, please, ask it in the live stream. We'll try and get to it. We've had a lot of questions, and one of those questions has been, how is this different? A lot of people think of of a digital wallet as crypto, and this is opening things wide open to business and personal. And you might share a little bit about that and what your vision is for that, Tim.
Yeah, well, how it's different and what we're looking at is really kind of you kind of have to go to China, and you have to look at what evolved in China. There's an application in China that's huge. It's the WhatsApp of China called WeChat. It's got some presence here, and in 2016, I think it was, and you can Google this. I'll see if I can find the link and post it up on the chat down below after this. The New York Times did a video, which is fascinating. It's a 5-minute video, and it's like how China is changing your internet, right? And what they describe in WeChat, in that that caught me back in 2016, and it was given to me by one of our CTOs that is Chinese, and he's like, here, Tim, this is what we need to create with the platform we've got. This was already back in 2016. This is how we were thinking. And what it was this ability to take all these disconnected things. And in this video, you'll see they show how investments into certain things that are tips through chat, to a restaurant, to a hotel, to a hospital, all these things are possible because there's an infrastructure behind this WeChat app. Right?
Yeah.
So we, back in 2016, had this big infrastructure. We were already working on blockchain. We said, wow, that's pretty cool. And guess what? All that analytics, in same video, it shows how all that analytics is then fed into the government. We're like, well, that's kind of like what blockchain needs to be, except without the government spying on everything.
Right.
But the ability for somebody to take that app and run their life seamlessly without ever logging out.
Right.
And this was the beginning era. This was 2016, 4 or 5 years ago now, of what I call the super app. So for years, I've talked about this idea of what evolved in apps, which were lightweight apps. And I know lots of brilliant apps have come out that are fairly lightweight, and they've done very, very well. One does IM, Slack, $27 billion company. It does IM.
It does one thing.
It does IM really, really well. And like I've said before, that guy is from the hometown I live in. Yeah. And so these lightweight kind of skinny apps were the model of Silicon Valley. Like plaster it out there, get it out there, run it up to a unicorn $1 billion status, and make a bunch of money. And then what? So remember,
then
Snapchat?
Be acquired by another siloed
then
app.
Be acquired, then be absorbed. by a larger company, and it's just like this big fish eating this other big fish eating this other big fish. I think that's in the video too. And you know, so remember Snapchat? I mean, my kids couldn't get off Snapchat. Now they're telling me, I'm like, so whatever happened to Snapchat? I don't know. I deleted it off my phone. Like, what's that? Or what was the one, Pokemon Go? How big was that deal, right? So this was the era that we came through. And if you're in my side of the world, you're watching this happen and you're going, I'm just crazy. Like, I should build something simple and literally just put it out there, make a bunch of money and walk away. Why not? That seems to be the model. And that was the model. That was the model. Then 2020 hit. And all of a sudden we got locked down. And this silly little thing called Zoom, which was a one-off, you know, video messaging, been around forever, boom, blew up, right? Then all of a sudden you had Microsoft jump in with Teams that had been around forever and was awful, and they started investing it to make it a bit better. And now when I turn on my app for Outlook, Teams button is automatically on. I have to turn it off to use my own video. Like, go away. You don't want that. I want your email because I like your 40-year-old technology. I don't like the new stuff. Like, you know, but whatever. So you look at those kinds of things, and when you're in the throes of that evolution, if you're thinking short term, it makes perfect sense. Build something lightweight, put it out there. If you build something to last, and you're building something like a WeChat with, I can't remember, somewhere I read they had over 1 million developers working on this. Now, as you know, Dan, we've talked about, we've got about 2 million man hours in that. They were doing that every year. Like 1 million a year, right? You can do that in China and these big countries. So that was the beginning. That was the era of super app. And that's where the BCERTin wallet, what we've got today, started. It started 5 years ago. It started not to be a lightweight wallet. It's got a vault. It's got ID. It's got every transaction literally in your life. It's just a matter of what are you doing in your life and what transactions are you trying do you need to track? And it's got privacy, and it's got IM, and it's got payment. It's just now us just taking those dots and connecting it for what people want to use, right? That's a super app. That's what the evolution started 5 years ago to get us to what we're releasing today.
Right. And then when you use it, you're not going to be followed with ads based on what you've said or what you've used because of the privacy.
If people say, hey, I want some ads, I'll be surprised, and it's quite possible. Hey, can you throw some ads in here to interrupt me while I'm focused on something, please?
Exactly.
Like, we're not going to do that. We don't have to. Why would we do that? The network, the blockchain, simply operates through this whole ecosystem of BCERT tokens. It doesn't need an ad revenue model. And, you know, you bring that up. That's a really good point. I remember when Facebook was out there and everybody loved it. Everybody loved Facebook. And there was even a website, because it was all kind of the kids that started out a domain that was, oh my God, my parents are on Facebook. Right?
Yeah.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
And so, you know, and that was brilliant. And then there was this huge backlash because all of a sudden, again, big centralized companies, centralized costs come up, and there's Zuck sitting there with probably, what's her name? Sheryl Sandberg, the COO, lean in, probably going, yeah, we kind of need to make some money here.
Right.
And ads came in, right? And that was the beginning of ads. We know what the history came from then of how they made money. Like, we know what the history of Facebook has been. It was quite an interesting business model, like they monetized the data and to an extensive amount to make it one of the most powerful centralized companies in the world. Right. But is that where we want to go with Web 3.0? Like those were the business models of, and what was Facebook really? It was a light app. It wasn't a power app. It's still not a power app. Then like Facebook went through this evolution of, well, how do we grow? Oh, I know. Let's go buy that WhatsApp thing for $19 billion. Let's grow there. And then, you know what? You know, all that posting that people do of pictures, that's kind of cool. Let's go buy that Instagram thing. And so just like most centralized companies, Microsoft, QuickBooks, Quicken, Intuit, Facebook, Amazon, Salesforce. Salesforce did over $50 billion of acquisitions in the last few years. They try to become super apps. They're not designed that way. They become that. That's what's different. We're launching a super app with the code that was created so that this could extend that way instead of sucking it all in from, oh, that one's winning. Let's go buy them. I recently saw a mortgage banking fintech company that bought a company. This is common too. I love this. This is a common. They bought a company in mortgage banking, took the tech, threw it away.
They filed it away. Yeah.
Filed it away, and they kept the team. And I just like this week looked, you know, where are those guys? Oh, they all have jobs.
Right.
And that was a big Facebook strategy too. Like, oh, that tech could maybe take some market share or whatever, but they got really smart people. Let's just buy them and bury the tech and use the people's talent. So, you know, that was the centralized model of Web 2.0. It's just different. What can I tell you? It's a super app. That's what makes it different.
Yeah, and Web 2.0 versus 3.0, I know you've said in the past that our technology eliminates and fixes the issues that the internet created. And so that's why this is such an important new release, is that it's about privacy and protecting everything that's important to you. And to that end, BCERTin, as we KYC individuals into the wallet, let's talk a little bit about BCERTin, because to me, that's really the heartbeat. It's the entry point to the wallet and protection.
Well, it's the entry point to everything. It's the entry point to your next concert, Dan.
Right.
It's the entry point to your next plane trip. Scheduled for my second vaccine today. Thank you very much. I'm very excited about that.
Congrats.
Yeah. So a couple of weeks and I'm fully vaxxed, and I am going to be able to put that in my wallet. BlockCerts, right? And BCERTin was designed to say, look, digital identity was a thing for banks and financial institutions, and then it kind of became a thing for healthcare, but now it's a thing for everybody. And you know what? It's my identity. That's who I am. This is my stuff. This is Tim. This is me. It's not yours unless I choose to share it with you. Now, if I'm coughing all over you while I'm sitting next to you at a concert, is it because I did that, or is it because I've got COVID, right? I mean, I don't know how else to say that. And you kind of want to know, and you kind of have the right to know.
Well, and if everyone had this and had to use a QR code to get in and had that on their wallet,
that's right.
That gives you some peace of mind about the person who's coughing next to you.
That's right. And so once you know that, that becomes a part of a bigger picture once again. It's a super app. It's a app that serves the world, because guess what? COVID was expensive.
Right.
It was expensive in terms of human life. It still is expensive in terms of the cost of healthcare. It introduced socialized healthcare in a big way in the United States. Right. In a big way. You're not paying for those vaccines, but you are, because you're a taxpayer. And that's going to come around. So the world's changed in so many ways, and BCERTin is one of those things that, when I'm working through my transactions, I really want to be able to know where they're at, find them quickly. When I'm going to an event, I want to know you're healthy sitting next to me, but I don't necessarily need you to know everything about me or some other centralized authority, right? I just need to know what I did with my life. And so when we build these wallets, we built them for literally as it says right there. And that's why we chose this image and this statement, you're in control, because it needs to be that way. Now, in Asia and China, maybe not so much. Maybe you're not in control. But in our Western world, I think we expect that. I think that's people 3.0. That's society 3.0. So if we're going to build Web 3.0, let's bring society 3.0 along with it. And that's what we're doing, starting with a wallet, right? But guess what? These things started with a song.
Right. With first 100, I remember my little iPod, it was 100 and then it went to 1,000. And that was amazing. I could go for a run and not worry about, the songs repeating again.
That's right. So those were 99-cent songs. We got 99-cent tokens, right? And that 99-cent token starts getting you there. Where did that 99-cent song take you, Dan? Where did it take this world? Think about that for a minute. That 99-cent song. Everybody going, wow, that's kind of cool. No, that's not kind of cool. That's groundbreaking. That was ground changing. And same kind of thing.
It was more efficient, Tim. Anytime there's something that becomes more efficient, people will adopt. And that's what we're talking about. AdWords were more efficient than ads in a newspaper, in ads in a magazine, right? It opened the world to inclusion in the marketing world. That was Google. So if you look at the big shift, Google was an ad word and it was a few penny click. That made this multi-billion, multi-trillion dollar ecosystem we call Google, with the largest operating system in the world. That few cents that nobody really saw it coming. Amazon, paperbacks, paperback books, right? I mean, really, think about it. And Apple, a 99-cent song. So when we talk about 99 cents, we talk about tokens being this utility, the software, and we're wrapping them with all of these super apps around it. That's what we're talking about with Web 3.0. What Web 2.0 did for giant centralized companies, what Web 1.0 did for the internet, Web 3.0 is doing for people to give them their own cloud and their own control over their identity. That's why I'm excited about bringing this to the world. Yeah, I agree. And Tim, I'd like to do a shout out for some of our developers and our UX UI guys, and just state some names quickly. I would like you to do the same, because I know Gustavo and Jules and Wesley, and there have been a lot of incredible individuals that have been a part of this project. And just would like to say thank you to all of our development team and group as we're rolling this out.
So this is what our team looks like today, Dan.
Exactly.
And you're right.
And they keep joining us.
Yeah. So let me do this quick. It's kind of like the Academy Awards. We'd like to thank, right?
Yes, exactly.
As you said, Gustavo, Ivan, Aditi, Wesley, Jana, Garish, Chitra, who keeps all these people going, and James. And James and Jules, and we've got so many people. We've got like literally hundreds of people. You've got Mangela, who never stops at testing. You've got David. You've got some new people that joined us like Manoj, and you got Zacharias. We've got people all over. I think we counted 10 countries. I counted 10 countries today officially. And it's just impossible to shout out to everybody, but we have some incredible people that have that literally don't sleep, do not sleep,
right.
and put this all together. So not only do we have superpowers in the app, we have superpowers in our people and our teams around the world on 5 continents, Dan. And thanks for doing that, because that's our team right there.
Yeah. And then Tim, also just as a little alert, those token holders over this next week, we're doing this as a very measured rollout. And so for our token holders, you will be receiving emails. Not everybody all at once, because we want to learn from you, and we want to get your feedback. So tell a little bit about that, and then we'll give everybody a good day.
Yep. So we're going to be rolling this out. If you're already on the invite list, you'll see that come out. That link will come out. You'll go through. You will be asked to ID certain for sure. The only way you can transact on the BlockCerts blockchain is to do your initial ID. Then it's yours to control forever. All those documents, everything you put in, get encrypted to your private key, and then actually it's going to make your life a lot easier, because the next time you need to do that, you just click and your certification is there. If somebody wants to see your documents, you can give them limited time access. Some really cool stuff coming out there. But in this first version, you'll go through, you'll ID certain yourself. You'll be in the BCERTin wallet. That goes in your vault. Your vault and your wallet becomes yours. You're already a token holder. That just all gets paid for right through one of your BCERT tokens and some ink that goes out to pay for the compute costs. That's how the community runs this. So hence, no need for ads being shoved down your throat, any of that. Your community is supporting you and supporting the cloud. You're supporting the community, and you're holding the community. As this grows, as you refer other people, there's going to be an invite link. And as you refer other people, the community and this cloud gets stronger. It works for your benefit. And there's a whole governance model that, as this fully distributes out, the community gets to decide exactly how it's equitable and profitable and everything to run. So that's what that's how it all works. And again, if you're on the invite list already, you'll see that. If you're not, you can actually go onto bcert.io. You can get started there. You can register yourself for an invite. You can get invited by a friend. You can also go on bcert.io and become a BCERT token holder. So you can go through and get your ID certain, get your wallet, and get started as part of the community. So that's how you
Oh, we lost Tim there, so I'll continue on. There we are.
I'm here.
Okay, good. So that's how you get started. And a couple quick questions, and then we'll wrap this up, Tim. From the audience, Alan asks, will we have a digital payment component to the wallet in the future?
Of course.
That makes sense. Yeah.
It's already in there for acquiring the tokens. The digital payment BCERTin is rolling into the wallet. So we've got, as we always talk about it, the top dozen most important apps as we start bringing it in. The first thing that we'll do is release the desktop wallet. Remember, we're doing multi-factor authentication. Right. So, and every screen has a few different, like obviously on a big screen, I can do a ton of stuff. On a little tiny screen, I can't do as much. But the things that are coming out are immediately in the next 30 days are BCERTin, sign certain, to where you can sign documents, you can share documents, you can do all of that stuff right from your mobile device or on your desktop. BCERTin, so you can collaborate with your teams and you can do all of that. Obviously, ID certain is already there. We're just releasing these methodically, not because they don't work. We've got people using them right now. The utility's all available. We're simplifying it. We just keep simplifying, because a super app, as you might imagine
Right.
can be super difficult too.
Yeah, you don't want to overwhelm people. You want to make it simple. And John from Quebec asked that question: is it going to be simple for the average person to use, or is this, you know, something for the crypto geek?
And that's the idea, is make it as simple as possible. We don't, unless you really want to become a developer. If you do, go to our HR section on BlockCerts.com and ask us. We're hiring. But unless you want to become a developer, an engineer, a geek, do what I do. It's most of my day is telling my team that I have my Tim, in engineering, architecture hat off. I got my user hat on. I want to go fast. I want it to be easy. I want to communicate, and I don't want any holdups. That's most of my day. And easy is what we're striving for. So we want all that feedback, all that comment. We want all those ideas. We really do, because that's what helps us improve.
Your individuals will receive a Q&A document, and then also once you receive your invite, certainly if you have questions, our team is there for you. So there's a way to contact us and get in touch with us. So
that's right. And a couple of spoiler alerts on Easy. We do have our little secret personal assistant coming out that will help you along in the future with everything in your life. Like you'll have this support in your pocket, and it's yours. It's not somebody out there listening to you. It's yours. So exciting
stuff. So with that, Tim, if you could take us away.
Well, with that, I'd like to say, everybody, I'm super excited to be getting my second vaccine. Until then, I'm going to stay safe. I want everybody else to stay safe, stay healthy. Go get vaxxed if you haven't. It's an amazing, actually, technology advancement. Vaccines are the most advanced technology we have in medicine, and it's proving out to open up our world. So let's keep opening up. And in the meantime, and in the future, we're always going to be digital. So stay digital.
Great. Thank you, Tim. It was great to